For over 25 years of working with men over 50, I've heard the same sentence repeated again and again. Maybe it's just aging. It sounds reasonable. After all, everyone gets older. But in clinical reality, most problems don't start from the number of your age. They begin with subtle changes inside the vascular system. When blood vessels gradually lose elasticity and responsiveness, circulation becomes less efficient than it used to be. You may notice feeling more tired in the afternoon. It becomes harder to maintain consistent performance. Your focus slightly declines. Your body seems slower to respond to things that once felt natural. That doesn't mean your body is expired. And it certainly doesn't mean you need extreme solutions or quick fix promises. In the next few minutes, I'll share 3 familiar fruits with clearly understood biological effects on circulation. Watermelon supports nitric oxide production. Berries help improve endothelial function. Citrus fruits help protect blood vessels from oxidative stress. This isn't magic, it's biology with a foundation. If you appreciate evidence-based explanations like this without hype, without miracle promises, consider subscribing. This channel is dedicated to helping men over 50 understand what's really happening inside their bodies and what practical science-grounded steps can actually make a difference over time. What's interesting is that L-citrulline in watermelon doesn't just work instantly, it works in a rather intelligent way. When you eat watermelon, L-citrulline is absorbed and gradually converted into L-arginine in the body. L'arginine then participates in the production of nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that helps blood vessels relax and expand when increased blood flow is needed. This is a foundational biological mechanism connected to energy, physical performance, and overall vitality. However, nitric oxide doesn't last forever. It's produced, used, and broken down relatively quickly. That's why effectiveness doesn't come from eating a large amount once it comes from consistent repetition. A moderate serving maintained several days per week usually matters far more than a single large compensation serving, followed by neglect. It's also important to understand that blood vessels respond best when combined with movement signals. Just 20–30 minutes of walking per day can stimulate natural nitric oxide production. When paired with dietary L-citrulline, the effect tends to be more stable and sustainable. On the other hand, if you sit for hours, lack sleep, or experience chronic stress, your body prioritizes survival responses, reducing the benefits you might expect. Another practical point, watermelon has high water content, which helps support circulating blood volume. When the body is properly hydrated, blood flows more smoothly and the heart doesn't have to work as hard. This is a simple factor that's often overlooked. So instead of viewing watermelon as an instant boosting food, think of it as part of a system. A slice in the morning, a few pieces after light movement, maintained consistently over weeks. Biology does not respond to urgency. It responds to rhythm and to the favorable conditions you create each day. Berries are often underestimated because of their small size, but biologically, they are among the most nutrient-dense foods you can eat. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries get their deep red, purple, or blue colors from anthocyanins, a group of flavonoids that directly influence the endothelium, the thin layer of cells lining the inside of your blood vessels. You can think of the endothelium like the inner coating of a water pipe. When it is smooth and flexible, flow is efficient. When it becomes damaged or chronically inflamed, its ability to expand and contract properly begins to decline. Anthocyanins work through several mechanisms at the same time. First, they help reduce low-grade inflammation, the silent type of inflammation that tends to increase with age. Second, they improve vascular elasticity, helping blood vessels expand more effectively when the body needs increased flow, such as during physical activity or when maintaining performance. Third, they support nitric oxide signaling within the endothelium, making the vasodilation response more responsive and efficient. Large observational studies suggest that people who consume berries a few times per week tend to maintain better vascular function over time. However, an important detail is often overlooked. The individuals with the best outcomes didn't just eat berries, they also maintained regular walking habits, light movement, and relatively stable sleep patterns. This reminds us that fruit acts as a catalyst. It supports and amplifies the body's natural mechanisms. Without movement and a fundamentally healthy lifestyle, the full effect simply cannot develop. When the endothelium functions well, it doesn't merely open or close blood vessels. It constantly senses flow pressure, oxygen levels, and chemical signals in the bloodstream to fine-tune vascular tone in real time. At age 20 or 30, this response is fast and efficient. Over time, due to chronic low-grade inflammation, stress, and reduced activity, that responsiveness may slow down. This is why many men over 50 may not have a major cardiovascular disease yet still feel that their energy is less vibrant than before. Mental clarity may fade toward the end of the day. Performance may feel inconsistent. When endothelial signaling improves through anthocyanin-rich nutrition and supportive lifestyle habits, the change is rarely dramatic or loud. It happens quietly, fewer sudden energy crashes, more stable concentration, smoother physiological responses when increased blood flow is needed. That said, moderation matters. A reasonable serving a few times per week is usually enough to build a strong foundation. If you are taking blood thinners or have clotting-related conditions, suddenly increasing berry intake, especially alongside other foods or supplements, should be discussed with your treating physician first. Safety always comes before optimization. Vitamin C does not directly produce nitric oxide, but it acts as a kind of protective shield. When the body is under oxidative stress due to aging, chronic stress, lack of sleep, or an imbalanced diet, nitric oxide tends to break down more quickly. Vitamin C helps neutralize free radicals, which in turn helps preserve the lifespan of nitric oxide within the vessel walls. In other words, if watermelon helps generate the vasodilation signal and berries make the endothelium more responsive, then citrus fruits help keep that entire system functioning more sustainably over time. Hesperidin, a natural flavonoid found abundantly in oranges and tangerines, has been specifically studied for its effects on small blood vessels. These tiny vessels play a crucial role in nourishing tissues and maintaining stable energy levels. When the microvascular system functions well, the difference is not usually felt as an explosive surge but as stability, less coldness in the hands and feet, fewer sudden crashes in energy, better recovery after physical activity. However, grapefruit requires special caution. It can interfere with how the body metabolizes certain medications. If you are being treated for blood pressure, cholesterol, or anxiety-related conditions, discussing regular grapefruit consumption with your physician is an important step. And if you're wondering, this sounds logical, but has anyone actually noticed a change? Let me tell you about David, a very real story. No miracles, just meaningful progress. Real life story, no miracles. David, 62, is an accountant who has worked in the field for over 3 decades. His job requires long hours of sitting, especially during tax season. When he first heard about the vascular benefits of berries, he didn't expect anything dramatic. He wasn't looking for a transformation. His mindset was simple: why not try? If it doesn't work, I'll stop. The first week wasn't pleasant. He never liked the slightly tart taste of blueberries or raspberries. He ate them more out of logic than enjoyment. By the second week, work pressure increased. He forgot his new habit for 3 consecutive days. At one point, he opened the refrigerator, looked at the untouched container of berries, and wondered, am I overcomplicating this? Is this even worth it? It wasn't until the 3rd week that David found what worked for him. He blended the berries with a banana and almond milk. The taste became smoother, easier to drink, and most importantly, it stopped feeling like a task. It simply became part of his lunch routine. After 2 months, the first thing he noticed wasn't performance or anything dramatic. It was mental clarity in the late afternoon, less fatigue, fewer energy dips. 3 months later, at his routine checkup, his blood pressure readings were more stable than before. Thomas, 65, had a different timeline. He felt an improvement in energy relatively early, but it took nearly 5 months before his blood pressure markers showed clear, measurable changes. There was no 2-1-day milestone, no sudden turning point, just repetition, adjustment, and consistency. Biology does not follow marketing timelines. It responds at its own pace differently for each individual. I'm curious, have you noticed subtle shifts in your energy or circulation over the past few years? Not dramatic problems, just small changes that made you pause. Share your experience in the comments. Many men realize they're not alone when they see others describing the same quiet transitions. Ideally, you could structure it simply like this. In the morning, have a serving of watermelon to help initiate circulation. Midday, add a portion of berries to nourish the endothelium. In the evening, include an orange or tangerine as a way to help protect your vascular system from the oxidative stress accumulated throughout the day. This structure allows your body to receive supportive circulation signals in alignment with a natural 2-4 hour rhythm. But real life is rarely ideal. If daily preparation feels time consuming, choose a more practical approach. Prepare your fruit over the weekend and divide it into small containers so it's ready to grab and use. On busy days, you can blend frozen berries with a little water and squeeze in fresh orange juice. One quick drink that still delivers meaningful value. It may not be the perfect version, but it is far better than quitting because it feels complicated. You don't need perfection every day. What your body needs is steady repetition over time. These three fruits do not overlap in their roles. They support the circulatory system through three complementary mechanisms. Watermelon provides the raw material that helps the body support nitric oxide production, promoting vasodilation when increased blood flow is needed. Berries help improve endothelial function, allowing blood vessel walls to respond more flexibly and sensitively to biological signals. Citrus fruits play a protective role, helping reduce oxidative stress and supporting long-term vascular stability. When combined with foundational habits like daily light walking, adequate sleep, and stress management, they form a sustainable strategy rather than a temporary fix. Walking activates natural circulation. Sleep supports vascular repair. Stress reduction helps prevent endothelial decline. At that point, fruit is no longer an isolated factor, it becomes part of a comprehensive care system. One important point to emphasize: this is not a miracle, and it is not a replacement for medical treatment if you have a diagnosed condition. This is biological groundwork, small, consistent choices that help the body function more efficiently over time. After 50, the body no longer responds well to extreme short-term interventions. Smart strategy consistently outperforms quick fixes. Biology does not reward urgency or impulsiveness. It rewards repetition. It rewards simple habits maintained long enough to create real change. If this kind of structured, physiology-based approach resonates with you, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Each week, we break down one practical habit that supports circulation, energy, and long-term vitality step by step without extremes. And if there's a specific topic you'd like explored: blood pressure, nitric oxide, sleep hormones, leave it below. I read the comments, and many of our future discussions begin there.